Okay, so my name is Muhammad Rafiq bin Muhammad Osman with venture number of 10 DTK19F1019. So this video will be our presentation on the results that we obtained through our feedback that we created on Google Form on sleep quality. But before we start, I would like to introduce our group members. So for the introduce myself, and the second group member will be Shami Aiman, then followed by Ahmad Aziz Malil, and the last one will be Aiman Hakim. They will all be personally introducing themselves in their own respective parts. So, with that out of the way, let's talk about our feedback, the survey that we created. So, we gave out the survey through WhatsApp to Polytechnic Seberang Perai students, mainly Polytechnic Seberang Perai students, and we were able to garner 50 students to respond to our survey. So now I would like to, before we start talking about all of the questions that we asked the students, we must first start with the demographic information. So as you can see from the table that I will be putting underneath under this video, um, there were there were three items, three questions that were asked about um, the respondents, and they were gender, their semester, they were their gender, their semester, and the department that they're in. So the first item is gender. So as you can see, there were significantly higher male students who responded to the survey than female students, with 32 male students and 18 female students. The male students made up 64% of the chart, which is more than half of it, and the female students made up 36% of the chart. Um, Now we move on to the second item that we asked, their semester. So the most obvious thing that we can see from the table is um, the amount of students from the second and the fifth semester, with one student from the second and two students from the fifth semester. The students from the second semester only made up 2% of the total respondents, while the fifth semester students made up 4% of it. On the flip side, however, is the fourth semester students, which has the highest amount of students responding to our survey, with 70% of the total respondents from the fourth semester. And the second highest will be the third semester students, which is significantly lower than the fourth semester students at 24%. So we've already talked about the gender and semester. Now we move on to the third item, which is department. So the highest two amount of students are from electrical engineering and mechanical engineering, both sharing the same amount of students at 20 each. So in total, it will be 40, and both of them also obviously share the same amount of percentage in the chart of the total respondents, with 40% each, and the other students, which made up the remaining 20% of the total respondents, were from the commerce department and information technology and communication department. um, so that's it for the information on our respondents. So now we will be moving on to talk about the results that we obtained for each of the questions asked of our respondents. I will be passing the baton over to Muhammad Shami Aiman, who will be presenting about the first and the second graph.
Hello, my name is Muhammad Syamil Imam bin Zamzani. My metric number is 10DTK91F1016 from DTK4A. Today I will show you the graph. Okay, this graph show the perfect sleep time among students. Majority of the respondents slept after 1 a.m. with 27 students, and meanwhile the second highest vote option with 12 midnight with 13 students. Student who was slept at 11 p.m. Slightly highest than student who sleep at 10 p.m. Okay, even so, the number of the student who slept at 10 p.m. with marginally higher than who slept at 9 9 p.m. With only one student. To sum up, many polytechnic students prefer to sleep after 1 p.m. and as can be seen by the huge difference between the after 1 a.m. at bar and another bar. Today I will present to you the second graph. This chart display the time it take of student to fall asleep once in bed. For that, it can be then the bigger statement of the chart, which make up 13% of chart, was on 15 to 30 minutes. Not as least, there was almost actually the same amount of the student who took the 31 to 45 minutes to fall asleep as the aforementioned. On the sleep slide, the smallest statement with only 8% for the student took 46 to 90 minutes to fall asleep. Almost the 50 for the student took less than 15 minutes to fall asleep, and significantly close to among of students who took more than an hour to sleep. In conclusion, the time it take for the student to fall asleep very greatly as supported by the statement percentage being close to each other. Thank you.
Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. My name is Aziz bin Khalil. I'm from class DTK4A. My metric number is 10DTK1F1015. Today I will present to you the third graph of our presenting new projects. So this graph demonstrate the hours of the students sleep indicating in 24 hours. Based on the graph, most of the students got the 7 hours of sleep. There are only 4 students who sleep for less than 4 hours, putting on the minority. Close to that, among where are the students who got 8 hours of the sleep, amounting to 6 students. Part of the that 9 students sleep for 5 hours. Thus, they are were still infinitely less than the 13 students who sleep for 6 hours. All in all, there are not many students who sleep for the ideal amount of the wish in 8 hours. So I will talking about the fourth graph. This chart into the activities students do before going off to sleep. The two statements of who made the majority of the chart share the same percentage. 32%, which is almost a third of the chart. They are copies of the student who play games on their phone and watch social media before going to sleep. The third highest statement that is consisted of the half of the amount. There are only of the highest statement at 16% are made up of the student who read a book or ebook before sleep. The last step, the the last two segments in the minority both are sharing the same percentage at 10%. We where students who watch the TV or and watch show on their phone. Overall, it can be said that students many play game or browse social media. Most activity acquiring a phone or a laptop before going to sleep. So now I will continue for the fifth graph. This graph convey how to often the student have the be affected by poor sleep. A greater number of the student is claiming by to be affected by it sometimes. which the 29 students voting for it referring to that there are were thus restrictedly less students who picking all the another option, which the 11 students claiming they are really affected by poor sleep. Another 6 students are claiming to affected very often, and 4 students claiming to be always affected by poor sleep. There are none there are none who claiming to never be affected by poor sleep or thinkosites. This graph proves that everyone will, will always be affected by poor sleep at same some point in their life.
Alright, so I'm back to talk about the sixth question that we asked our respondents. But before that, I know I've already introduced myself, but I'll do it again. So my name is Muhammad Dafiq bin Muhammad Azwan. We've mentioned number of 10 DTK 19F1019. So yes, the sixth question, or this will also be our third pie chart. The question that we asked was to our respondents was how often do you feel sleepy while in class in the daytime? So the pie chart that I will be putting below me, it expresses how often students feel sleepy in the daytime while in class. Almost a half of the chart is made up of students who stated that they feel sleepy sometimes. This is followed by students who stated that they rarely feel sleepy, which made up almost a quarter of the chart. There were almost the same amount of students, but fractionally lower at 22%, who stated that they feel sleepy very often in class. The two smaller segments, at 4% respectively, were made up of students who stated they always and never feel sleepy in the daytime while in class. So by and large, students are mostly indecisive in deciding whether they rarely or oftenly feel sleepy in class, so they would prefer to pick sometimes. Okay, so now I'll be moving on to the seventh question, which will also be the fourth bar graph. So the seventh question asked was, how satisfied are you with your life now? So the bar graph shows the student satisfaction level with their lives now. A huge number of students asserted that they are content with life now, totaling up to 24 students. The number of students who asserted they were satisfied was 13, significantly less than the former who stated they were content. There were the same amount of students who asserted they are very dissatisfied and very satisfied at 4 each, both marginally lower than the 5 students who asserted they were dissatisfied. On the whole, many of the respondents are content with their life, with few who are very dissatisfied and others who are very satisfied. So that's it for my part. Talking about the results that we obtained, Ayman Hakim will take over from now on, talking about the last three remaining graphs.
Hi, my name is Ahmad Hakim bin Abdul Rauf. My number metric is 10DK19F1033. So I'm going to talk about eighth question was how often do you feel stress? The chart displays student stress level. Almost half of the total respondents voted that they are sometimes stressed out. At the same time, almost a quarter of the total respondents voted they are really stressed. Aside from that, 60% of the total respondents voted that they are very often stressed out. As the rest, which made up a minority, they voted for the always and never option. With 10 who voted for always and 8% who voted for never. In sum, many students do feel stressed out. However, not too often as can be seen from the chart. The ninth question, how often do you exercise in a week? This graph demonstrates how often students exercise in a week. The most distinct bar is the everyday bar, with only 3 students who voted for it.
Students who exercise once a week were marginally higher than students who exercise 2 to 3 times a week. There are 11 students who don't exercise at all, while there were no students who exercise 5 to 6 times a week. To conclude, there are more students who exercise in a week than those who doesn't. Alright, the last 10th question. In your opinion, how would you rate your quality of sleep? This chart indicates the student's opinion on their sleep quality. A lot of students believe that their sleep quality is average. Slightly more than a quarter of total respondents believe that they have good sleep quality. 12% more than respondents who thought they have poor sleep quality, equaling 14%. Except from that, 12% of total respondents thought they have very good sleep quality. The other remaining respondents who made up 6% of the chart believe that they have very poor sleep quality. In closing, many students consider that they have average sleep quality, with most students thinking that they have good sleep quality more than poor. So that's it from us. Thank you for watching.